The following pre-recorded program is a part of the video conferencing series produced by the Instructional Technology Support Center at Middle Tennessee State University. The program series provides quality educational programming for K-12 teachers and students in the region. For more information about our programming, please visit our website or contact us via email or telephone.
Welcome to the Satellite and Webcasting Center at Middle Tennessee State University. I'm Connie Schmidt, your program producer. Pat Jackson is our director. I'd like to welcome our satellite viewers, our cable television viewers, and our webcasting viewers. We invite all our participants to call in with questions today on our toll-free number at 1-866-904-8352. We're delighted to have back with us today Dr. Zaf Khan, a faculty member in the Department of Special Education, Elementary and Special Education here at MTSU. He's joined by three educators from the Murfreesboro City School System, Mr. Charlie Westmoreland, who is a special ed and CDC teacher, Ms. Christina Maddox, who is a general education teacher, and Ms. Sherry Stoneking, who is an education assistant. We're also joined in the studio by some of our MTSU education students. Today's presentation is Habits of Exclusion, Inclusive Teaching Strategies for Students with Disabilities. I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Zaf Khan.
I would like you all, right now, while I get this mic and my tie to work, I want you to give our heroes, Scales Elementary School, a clap for being here today, and I mean it. We cannot do inclusion, we cannot serve the needs of children with disabilities without talented people out there like Mr. Charlie Westmoreland, Christina, and also Sherry. What we're going to do today, folks, I would like to talk about this word inclusion. I'd like to talk to you about why inclusion, what it is, where are we, and what we need to do to get from point A to point B. And the people that actually have done this are here today to share their experiences, and I hope you would be able to get lots and lots of wonderful ideas that you would take and implement in your classrooms. Let me talk to you about a little story of mine. I'm originally from South Africa. I remember this day, Charlie, like it was yesterday. His name is Lucas. He was standing right there in front of me, and I was at the elementary school level as a PE teacher. And there he was, Lucas. He had this fantastic smile on his face, always very excited, but he had this abnormal gait that he walked a little different. And he would come up to my class, but he did not belong to my class, and that was something very strange, different in South Africa at the time. We're talking about 1991, 1989. But what I did, Charlie, is I went against the norm. I went against the grain, and I went against all the philosophies and the values I've been taught in the education I received. I wanted to be a transgressor. I think I am a transgressor. Do you think that? Yeah. And some of my students are in this class, and thank you for attending as well. Let's start out with the story. So Lucas, what I did was I invited him to my class, and there we struck up a relationship, and pretty soon he was playing basketball, and eventually he stayed with our class, and he became our cheerleader. And from a child who was nonverbal suddenly becoming so verbal, he gained about 3 new words every single week. The first word he said, Sherry, was ball. The second word he said, hello. The third word he said was Zaf Khan, my name. Wow, powerful. And all that happened, Sherry, in about a month. And when he came to me, he was nonverbal, abnormal gait, and something special about Lucas, he was mentally challenged. We did not have a special education program like we do in the United States. Everything was separate and unequal. And Lucas, we never would go to another part of the building and we'd never see him. But I want you to know that Lucas in the story was included psychologically. He was included emotionally. He was included intelligently. He was included in everything we did in that class. And there was camaraderie. There was a time when my students asked, where is Lucas? Why is Lucas not here today? Because Lucas always had this beautiful smile, and he always showed up on time, and he did whatever we asked him to do, and he did it with such a pleasant smile. So my question to you out there, educators today, is do you have a Lucas in your community? Do you have a Lucas in your school? Do you have a Lucas in your neighborhood? What are you doing to bridge the gap? What are you doing to be, as I say, the transgressor? Yes, and I say that affectionately. So we in the United States have come a long way. Let me show you and chart the course and show you exactly legally how we have come to the point we have come with one very strange court case. Let's start with that. If you could zoom into the doc cam down here, let's take a look at this case here. I'm going to show it to you. Take a look at that, folks. This is a phenomenal case. It's a case that took place, look at that. Yes, that is 1919, not 2010. This was the first case that laid the foundation of a conversation that we should start to have about special education inclusion. Now, I want you to look at the first bullet point up there. It says, State Supreme Court excludes a young boy with cerebral palsy because, look at this, he says, depressing and nauseating effects upon the teacher and the school children. And who made that decision? Wow. The state Supreme Court. Can you imagine that? We're not talking about a state court. We're not talking about your local court. We're talking about the United States of America at the federal level in what was the year? Thank you, you were listening. 1919, actually saying no, because this is nauseating. I can't have you in my class. And the courts upheld that. They actually did that in 1919. Wow. Raise your hands if you think we've come a long way. Thank you. Thank you. Let's take a look at this. What is inclusion? Let's go on to my next slide. I love this slide. It says, what is inclusion? Inclusion says we have to embrace, first of all, the concept of differences. We all have differences. It also says there is a respect issue. We also need to look at the civil rights issue. How do we expand choice for children with disabilities? How do we promote unconditional acceptance? What are you doing right now, teacher, when you are trying to create this wonderful, positive, interdependent environment that's going to be welcoming and inviting? How are you going to involve your age-appropriate peers? What are you doing to get this beautiful, natural thing we call friendship? How you cultivate that? Are you living in a world of isolation? Are you living in a world where you are wanting to create a community that's going to be having certain variables? Where are you? Do you have a respect for the entire family? My question for you then is, what is your family like in your classroom? Do you have a family in your classroom? Do you have a sense of community? Now, we have that at Scales Elementary School. I'm so excited to have our folks here who are going to share that story with you, that love, that passion, and there's that word again, transgression. They went beyond, and I believe you can do that too. I'm going to ask Mr. Charlie Westmoreland. Charlie Westmoreland is a CDC teacher at Scales Elementary, and also Charlie was one of my students in my practicum class, and Scales just snatched him up because they knew a good thing when they found one. Yeah, okay, thank you, Charlie. And talk to us about in your experience, when you got to Scales Elementary and you are working in the CDC classroom, and by the way, CDC is a comprehensive development class. It is self-contained, where students get all of the services there. And Charlie had the notion, he said, no, hey, hold on. There are some kids in here that really don't belong. Now, Charlie, can you fill in the blank for me and tell me what's the rest of the story?
Well, the rest of the story is going to be focused upon the independence of each child and their ability to learn at different levels. Now, as I came into Scales and I saw students who needed more independence and more time and more focus with their typical peers, it all is centered around collaboration with the regular ed teachers. And we have a real good learning community at Scales, and it really promotes, our administration and our system really promotes that collaborative level, and we all work well together. And as that collaboration grew and the teachers, the general ed teachers kind of got on board with the idea of students can actually do more than maybe they're expected, we started seeing improvements and gains, and it's just kind of grown from there.
Great, thank you. Let's talk to you, Ms. Maddox. You have an awesome job as a general education teacher. You have to work with a diverse body of students, from your gifted students to your average learners to children that have very, very special needs. Talk to me about the inclusion that in your classroom, in this collaboration that's Charlie talking about, that's the pivotal centerpiece that makes this actually work. What did you do to make this work for Charlie and you so that we could have a child, a student in that classroom experiencing the psychological, the biological, the sociological, and all of those other non-academic things? Talk to us about that.
From the beginning of the year, Charlie and I sat down and looked over the IEP and discussed the needs of the child. And from there, we created a plan of collaborating weekly of the content that I have to teach, that I'm expected to teach, and how we can modify it and accommodate it to meet his needs or her needs, so that she or he can learn the material and be successful at his ability. And with the collaboration, it is crucial. It is daily, it is hourly at times, and without the relationship built between the general ed teacher and the teachers of the CDC classroom, it literally is impossible to make it successful. It takes a team. Not only does it take a team from the teachers, but it takes a team effort from the students. And that truly is, from my experience, having two children who are from the CDC classroom in my classroom. It truly is the students that makes it a success. The peer community that you establish with your students, the family that you establish from day one in morning meetings. We started out immediately with our students coming for the morning meeting, which happens in the beginning of the day, and the students get in a circle, and it's a social time, a time to welcome each other, a time to build that family. And the students, especially those who are included in inclusion, should be a part of that from day one, to help them feel a part of that building and that part of community that will be crucial for their success. And the students are my what do I call them my backbone. You know, they help and support me with everything that I do with my students, and the students want to embrace children who are inclusion students and want them to be a part and want them to be successful. And the love that we have at Scales and the inclusion that we have at Scales and the atmosphere that has been created is just absolutely amazing.